I'd like to say it's an honor to meet you and do this interview. I think it's exciting to meet someone in such an amazing field in this house. Everybody has to know that this house is amazing. How did you start?
The agency, I have to kind of go back to my prior career as a model to kind of explain how I got into
I can totally see it.
being a mother agent. Thank you. So I started modeling at 18, and I always had a huge love for traveling and fashion and art. And the three funnest things, when I had an opportunity to start traveling as a model, I fell in love. The second place that I went to was Italy, and I fell in love with Italy. So then I just started traveling all over Europe, and at 26, which is very late in the industry, I started traveling internationally. And probably because I was older, I was kind of considered the mother hen in most of the models' apartments. Agencies that I was with started asking me, hey, Donna Marie, can you work with this model on her walk, or can you work with this model, you know, on her photo movement or her presentation when she goes in to see a client and stuff like this. And I was like, yeah, sure. So I started doing that, and I was like, wow, this is an honor that they're asking me to help these younger models. So I kind of took that. Even, you know, locally, I'd have people say, you should open a modeling school, and I'm like, oh, I really don't believe in modeling schools, you know. But I was actually very lucky because my mother agent, I actually ended up marrying him, and he wanted to close the agency because he had a full-time job. And I said, well, what would you think if I took it over and kind of revamped the agency? And he said, you got plenty of experience, you know everybody, the same people I know, all the agents around the world. If you want it, it's your baby. So that's basically how I became the owner of Anderson Model Management.
So, did you always have family support? Did they like help you get to where you are today? Did they help you get into modeling in the first place, or were they pushing you towards some different career?
I would have to say no and yes. So no, at first when I was younger. So I always, even when I was, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10, I always had these stars in my eyes. And it was modeling, the acting thing didn't really draw me in, but modeling, I'd see these magazines and be like, wow, look at that beautiful picture, and you know, the fashion, and it just really, I was drawn to it. But as a young girl, my mom did not support me being a model. She knew that it was it could be a very messy, scary business for a girl to be in. But she did say, she says, you know, people would come up to me on the street, oh, you should be a model, and the agents would say, you should be a model. And then my mom's like, no! And I'd go in my room and I'd cry. But yeah, she said, you know, sweetheart, when you're 18, you can do whatever you want to do. She says, but I do not have the money. So my mom was a single mother. My dad died when I was 5, and she had 4 children. Thank you. So she couldn't afford to help me financially. And getting into a modeling, to be a model and investing in it, it's a lot of money up front. And a lot of people don't realize that.
I would have never guessed.
Yeah, it can be a big chunk of money. So I said, that's okay. You know, so I worked and worked. I got a job when I was 15, and I just worked and worked and worked and worked, saved up all my money. And at 18, I said, I'm going to try this. And so I did. And from that day on, she and the rest of my family always supported me. They always did. Obviously, I was a model for 25 years. I retired after 25 years. And so then when I took over my husband's agency and changed the name and revamped it, of course he knew that I had all the experience in order to run the agency, so I had his full support as well.
What jobs did you have before? Did they influence how you work today?
At 15, I just got any job I could get. So I was probably an overachiever, but very responsible girl, and I think a lot of that came from the fact that my dad had passed away and my mom was working so hard to take care of 4 children. No, I did not at first get jobs that were at all affiliated with the fashion industry. You know, they were jobs that I actually honestly hated. You know, insurance, retail, you know. But I was in college, and again, traveling, fashion, and art. But all through school, starting from probably junior high school, all the way through, I was super, super good at business. I mean, anything that had to do with business, I would like A+, FBLA, Honor Society. It was just business, 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 and I was good at it. And so I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to be an executive secretary. It sounded like such a great thing because I was so good at it. And so I get these jobs, office jobs, like secretarial jobs, and I'm like, oh, I'm miserable. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll get jobs within the travel industry. That'll be better, And it was for a while. And I was just like, but I'm still sitting in a desk, as a secretary, filing, answering phone calls, and doing this business stuff.
Someone has to.
Someone has to, and it paid my bills. And I felt like I had to be a very responsible individual, and I couldn't follow my gumption of, oh, I really want to try this model thing seriously. And it wasn't until, that's why it was 26 before I started traveling. I had a job in the traveling industry as a secretary for 3 different chairmen, and I would get raises every 6 months. And I'm like, this is awesome. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. And I started driving to work. I had a commute, and I started driving to work, and I was just crying because I didn't want to go to work. And I'd step into the office, I'd get ready, good morning, and I'd drive home and I'd cry. I was miserable. And so I went in, I did that for about 2 weeks, and I went in and I quit. I didn't have another job lined up. I just couldn't do it anymore. But all of the reason I say all that, the jobs from when I put the light bulb on and said, let's get a job in the travel industry, that included flight attendant, lots of different things. Those jobs, I do believe, influenced me as far as getting the modeling, which of course modeling then, piggybacked into being an agent.
So you really like your job now? You like working one-on-one with people?
I do. I'm not an office desk person. I'm not a 9-to-5er or a 7-to-3er or a 3-to-11er. I just want to be able to work whenever I want to or whenever I have to. Sometimes there are certain times, especially in this business, what I do as another agent, I have to work, when Australia is open. So that time difference means I might be up at 2 o'clock in the morning, That doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. But yes, and the big thing that drew me, so first of all, I have to let you know that I don't do this business, meaning Anderson Model Management, okay? I don't do it for the money. I don't make a lot of money. People have always said, well, why are you doing it? And I have been very blessed that my husband, he's in medicine, and we're okay with finances. But I do this just to help those individuals out there who want to be in this industry. One of the things that I tell all of my new models as they come in, and I tell my nieces and my nephews, my one piece of advice for anybody, I don't care if you're in the modeling industry or not, is find a job, and I say J-O-B, find a J-O-B that you would be willing to do for free, that you love it so much, you're so passionate about it, it brings you fulfillment and joy, and you're just like, oh, I love this, whatever it is, it could be anything. But find a J-O-B where you're doing that, you'd be willing to do it for free, and you will have a very joyous, fulfilling career and life. Now, it's not always easy to find that, and of course, the young people who are 15, 16, 17, 18, they might not be able to just fall into that. They're like, whoa, I'm 18, I need to go out and get a job. They might work at McDonald's, and unless hamburgers and french fries are their passion, then they might be miserable after a while, okay? And that's very understandable. But as you said, as you're coming into knowing who you are and what you really want to do with your life and how you want to contribute to society, I think that's a huge part of feeling good about ourselves is what we contribute, good piece of advice as far as finding something that you can laugh about and feel good about.
So what type of advice, what is one piece of advice you'd give to someone who would want to follow in your footsteps? What type of advice would you want to have been given to you when you were my age?
The second question, a piece of advice that I would have liked to have been given, is don't take, and I'm speaking specifically for this industry, okay, because it might not necessarily parlay into any career or industry. But for me is not to take rejection personally. Lots of rejection in this business, lots. Even as, you know, an agent, there's rejection because it's my job to, you know, train, develop, manage my models and to place them in agencies all around the world. Well, there's a lot of no's before you hit a yes, you know. So yeah, don't take it personally, the rejection. Your passion is what's going to drive you. So if you sense that your passion is kind of teetering, I think you need to do a self-examination and say, you know, I used to not complain about having to drive an hour to a job. You need to have a self-check. Maybe you're getting burned out. Maybe your passion has kind of changed. So I think that's very important too.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Amazing.
It was, thank you. It was an honor. Thank you.